Hello and welcome to my FlossTube channel. I'm Jean Farish and I'm so glad that you're here with me today. I'm back home from my great northern adventure up to Hobby House Needleworks in Pittsford, New York, where we had snow, rain, and a touch of blue skies. So I'm going to be sharing an interview I did with Kathy and David Mills, the owner of the shop, as well as just some pictures of the shop and a little bit about the classes that I taught while I was up there. And we had such a great time that we've already got plans in the work to do this again in the spring of 2023. So I'll share more about those details when I have them ready. I'm not sure we need an introduction here, but we have Kathy and David Mills, and this is their home away from home. And I think occasionally we're going to be seeing Toto and Arlo.
Toto and Arlo.
Yeah, the shop dogs. And I explained to them that I never have like a list of questions to start with, but they just always seem to come about. So here's a question for you two that I'm not sure I've ever asked any shop owner. How did you two meet?
Want to take that one?
You can take that one.
Well, we actually grew up here. Both of us were born and raised in Rochester, in Pittsford actually, and we went to school together at the junior high as well as the high school, Pittsford Sullivan High School, which is about 2 minutes away from the shop. And we took some classes together, and that was it. That's how we met.
How about that?
Yeah.
Been a long time.
So 16, 17 years old probably.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Great. So love is alive and well in Pittsburgh. Always happy to hear that. Okay, so now Kathy, I know a little bit about the origin story of the shop, but you started out doing strictly mail orders. Is that?
I started out, so when I was a stay-at-home mom, and when our daughter got older, what do you do when you stay-at-home mom? You find something to do. So I started this all out of my basement, and it was very part-time. Did it for maybe 6 years.
Yeah.
And I like to say it was kind of bucking against the trend. Instead of going from a brick and mortar to online, went from online to a brick and mortar, because the more you talk to people, feeling it and touching it and seeing it, it was just kind of inspiring. So decided before we signed the lease in
January
2020.
January 2020.
2020.
Okay, that's
Keys
a
on
key
February
key
1st.
Key date here.
We were supposed to open mid-March, late March, everything shut down. And I was petrified of retail. I'm like, I got this online thing. So when they shut the world down, I was like, okay, I bought myself some time.
We were very fortunate because we placed a lot of orders for that grand opening that never happened. And I remember it was March 24th was the date. And Kathy and her sister, my sister-in-law Tracy, were on their way to the needlework market down in Nashville on that Friday. And that was the date that the governor shut the state down. So I called them and I said, Governor just shut the state down. And I heard, woohoo!
Yeah.
that was
So
Kathy.
anybody else would have been crying and you were celebrating.
I was celebrating.
Yeah.
Celebrating. And actually, I mean, it just, the online orders, because as everyone knows, everyone stayed home and did crafts. And we got so busy, Dave was never supposed to be part of this.
Right.
And it really turned into a family business very quickly.
Yeah, in a matter of weeks, I think.
It was supposed to be myself and my sister, and it turned into something I don't think any one of us really anticipated.
No.
Tell me about the shop name. How did that come about?
Oh God, I wish I had a great answer. Hobby House Needleworks. I don't have a good. You can edit that out.
Okay, so we could start like a
Hobby
contest
House,
of
right?
a creative origin story that people could write in and make a suggestion of how this name came about, and then you could adopt one.
I love that. Who has, the next time I'm asked, I need to have a really good answer, a creative answer. I don't even have one. But Hobby House. So when we found the shop, we looked for a place. I knew what I wanted I wanted the feeling of walking into an old sampler. I wanted to feel homey. When we were shown this, I'm like, this is it. So it happened to be a house. So whatever my reason was, Hobby House, that we actually ended up in a house, I think was just part of, you know, our,
So that was your business name when you were doing the online stuff.
yep.
Yep.
Okay, here's the next big question. What hobbies do you do, and tell me about your stitching.
Okay, so I started with embroidery. I remember I must have been 5 or 6 years old, and my mom was always into sewing, all the needle crafts, and we were downstairs in the basement, 20 Rollingwood Drive, and she drew her cat face on a piece of muslin, gave me some yarn, and taught me some basic outline stitches. And that turned into cross stitch. I love sewing. I would make my clothes in high school. I made a sampler, I think when I was like in my teens in high school. So I've really always enjoyed that. I do some tapestry work. And interestingly, a customer came in, he was kind of young, it was a husband and wife, and he said, so has opening up a shop enhanced the craft for you or taken it away? And I said, I've not picked up the craft since opening a shop. And it really gave me pause to think that, you know, I love it, I love being surrounded by it, but don't really have time to do the stitching.
That's something you probably have in common with more shop owners than you realize,
I
because
bet.
I've heard that often, that especially back in the day in the 80s when there was this kind of resurgence in this country and a lot of shops opened at that time, many a shop owner thought, well, this would be great, I'll open a cross-stitch shop and I'll get to cross-stitch all day long. And any shop owner right now who's watching this is laughing themselves silly, because many people thought that and all found out very quickly that it wasn't going to happen.
No, not going to happen.
David, how about you? Do you stitch?
I was gonna say, and I still have not stitched, so still waiting for that moment to come. I love the craft. I'm surrounded by it, obviously, 7 days a week. I used to love watching Kathy stitch in the chair next to me at night, but you know, now we talk about cross stitch and the industry and what we might do next, and it's a lot of fun. So we're still involved in the craft. We're just handling it a little bit differently now. So
His background with marketing and design work, it's so transferable. So when someone comes in, his eye for color, and it could be floss, it could be, so the contribution that he makes with linen and choosing it, 'cause we substitute all day, and he's so good at it. A customer will come in and I'm pulling linen and I'll say, oh wait, there's got to be one. He just walks by, slaps it down, and we got a winner.
Yeah.
So he's got a really good eye for color.
And I think we've all really enjoyed your photographs of the shops and the posts that you make on social media.
that was a lot of fun. I think it was 3 or 4 shots, my very first post. We just come in here. Like Kathy said, my participation was really going to be hanging grid wall, building book racks, and then get the guy out. And but when we woke up, I think that morning after the first post, and Kathy had 120 emails, and she said, I have to teach you how to serge. And I was like, what? That thing with the cones in the back? And so I've been serging ever since.
Yes, got all the serging.
Yeah.
But those posts were a lot of fun, and I think the materials, you know, when she was at home, we had them in cabinetry and you couldn't see it,
Right.
you know, but once we got here and started hanging floss and putting the linen out, I was like, wow, this is a really great opportunity to make the materials the star. And it was a lot of fun, and no shortage of new products, right? She does a great job at bringing in different lines, new hand dyers, whatever the case may be. And again, the products are just gorgeous. So it's kind of an easy task to make it look great. So, and it's a wonderfully photogenic shop too. We were very fortunate to find this place. I mean, not every store has a fireplace in it, but so it's been a lot of fun.
And not every shop has 2 lovely shop dogs either.
They're being pretty good right now.
They're being amazing right now. And I will say, 99% of the time, they're a big win. You know, the customers, we have just one or two, we scoot them out if we have to, but they're pretty good shop dogs.
Yeah.
And that's good. So it sounds like you're sensitive if a customer comes in and says, not too sure about the dogs, then you...
They're out.
Yeah.
No,
We have one that's
absolutely.
very allergic, and again, we see her coming, they're out. So one of us takes them for a walk while she's here, and they're happy to go on a walk.
That's great. Well, let's talk a little bit about your location. Now, sadly for me, today's been a rainy day, and so I have elected just to stay indoors where it's nice and cozy and you're a nice, inviting shop, and I've enjoyed myself immensely. But I know that there's a lot of interesting things just right here in this little, sort of like a little cul-de-sac, or I'm not really sure how you call this, but we're right adjacent to the Erie Canal, which has its own wonderful history.
Yep.
And so tell me a little bit about some of your neighbor shops here.
There you go. Yeah, like we said earlier, we grew up here, so we've been coming to Schoen Place and Northfield Commons since we were both little kids. And she would go to Beads and Things, which has been here, and it's about 50 feet in that direction, when she was 5, 6, 7 years old. And they've been around for a long time.
50 years.
Over 50 years. And you know, I would go to the Hobby Peddler up the street in Schoen Place. But yeah, we're surrounded by a number of lovely shops, one-of-a-kind shops. There's Pittsford Lumber that's been here for decades. There's a new gift shop.
And a bicycle shop.
And a bicycle
And
shop
that's
steps away.
I probably should have done that. Tomorrow, when I have my lunch break, I'll find a bicycle shop, I
Yes,
think.
Towpath Bike. And lovely restaurants, 2 within walking distance, 3 more, less than a quarter mile away. So we do get a lot of stitchers from neighboring towns, neighboring cities that come to Pittsford and spend the day. They'll get a group together, they'll jump in a car, and they'll go on their stitching road trip. So
Well, this would be, the 3 ladies here from New Jersey, they were here for 2 nights, and they said it wasn't long enough because in the area they found a fabulous quilt shop. There's another needlework shop. There's just, there's other craft
Right.
stores to go to.
Yeah.
So they wish they had another day.
Yeah, it's easily a 2 or 3 day destination shop. That said, if anybody's watching and they only have a day,
Right.
you know, it certainly is
It's
worth
doable.
the trip.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's very walkable, this area, like you said. Not today because of the rain, but the Erie Canal has a towpath along the side, both sides, and you can walk along the canal and look at the different shops and stop in and sit down. There are lots of benches. I say it's a nice place for stitchers. They can just park anywhere on a bench and stitch for a while. A couple of little pocket parks here and there that you can find, and yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Great. What has been your greatest challenge in having a shop that's open for walk-in customers, as opposed to when you had a shop and everything was by phone and email and mail order?
Someone came into the shop, she works here part-time now, and she had a shop down in Watkins Glen, and this is kind of when we were first starting out, and she was saying that her employees said, you gotta get online, that's where the future is, you gotta get online, and she said, well, that's 2 separate businesses, I'm not gonna do that. And that stuck with me because I wasn't in it enough until the light bulb went off. I'm like, oh my God, she's right. Having an online and walk-in is 2 different sales channels. And integrating them, I would say, is our biggest challenge. We love it. We love the walk-ins, we love the online customers, but managing inventory between the 2, but we're gonna figure it out.
Yeah.
But that would be the biggest challenge.
So far, from all evidence, you're doing better than you're giving yourself credit for. But I can also see where it's 2 different customer bases, maybe initially, but you've got your walk-in customer who comes in, loves the shop, and then now that they're comfortable with you, somebody who may not have been really comfortable with shopping online. It says, oh, I know Kathy and David. I think I'll send them an email and let them know what I'm looking for. And conversely, the one who's just been doing it long distance by mail order, when they're on vacation and they're within, shouting distance, as we say in the South, they're going to come and see you. So, yeah.
And we have amazing relationships also with, there's so many times where someone from California will say, you're my LNS. So we can get the relationships with the people online, and we really, I think that was a surprise at how close we can get to the online customers.
Yeah.
It's been very nice.
Yeah, and I've been a strong proponent of that, and my viewers have heard me say this before. If you don't have a good shop in your neighborhood, someplace that's just very close by, build a relationship with somebody that you can trust, that has a strong inventory, that ships quickly, answers emails and phone calls quickly, and then you'll always feel like you've got somebody in your back pocket. So that's great.
Yeah, we treat our online customers just as special as the walk-ins. I think the way things are packaged, that was Kathy's vision from the get-go, was to serge the linen, package the linen nicely, label it, and then also the floss packs that she originally did, and now Tracy does. She's taken it to the next level.
She's totally taken it to the next level.
Somebody wrote to me on Messenger, and they said it was like getting a birthday, Christmas, and Valentine's gift all in one, and I thought that was really special. So we share a lot of nice notes that we get from various channels on a daily basis, just to remind ourselves how fortunate we are and how much fun this really is. So
I think you've just answered the other half of my question. What's brought you the biggest joy in having this two-level, not really two-level, but two businesses that you're brought into one, the online and the walk-in?
People, for sure. And it's all of the people, not just the customers. It's the designers, the various suppliers and vendors. I mean, just amazing. Kathy interfaces with all of them. I got to meet a bunch of them finally at market, face to face. But the customers too. I mean, to be able to make so many people happy, particularly with the timing with the global pandemic and everything. I mean, people were relying on our shipments to really sort of keep them focused, keep them sane, for lack of a better word.
So grateful.
Just so grateful. They were housebound for a year, many people. And so it was very nice to be able to help out in any way that we could. So
that is certainly one thing that's been, the positive outcome of the pandemic has been the fact that it has brought a renewed interest in needlework, and people kind of found that it was a way of staying connected with other people online and of filling those hours in a very creative and satisfying way. So it's
the connections online have been tremendous. I think we don't have a floss tube channel, but I know that the way the relationships have grown through social media, Instagram, Facebook, floss tube, has just been incredible, absolutely incredible. So it's fun to be a part of.
Okay, well, what's next for you?
Who's next? Next door?
We are thinking of expanding. Well, actually, we love this place, but we need more room. And it's not ideal to have an upstairs. So we figured we did not want to leave. We love the area that we talked about. We love the character. So we do have some wool and upstairs and some products. So we're thinking of getting a place next door, expanding the wool, getting into maybe a little bit of fabric, and then moving more of all the packing and supplies, because right now a lot of our supplies are in our garage because we just ran out of room. and kind of spread out a little bit. And I think once we do that, then we're going to bring on another employee to work next door who's very excited to come on board.
So talk a little bit about the wool embroidery. I mean, I'm not even sure what phrase I should be using.
Okay, so when we opened up, we did not get cross stitchers. We got rug hookers, and they just came pouring in. And I said, "Do you have any wool? Do you have any wool? Do you have any wool?" So we're like, "All right, so we're here to provide people in our community with what they'd like." So we brought in some wool. But since we're not really
As versed in
Wool.
the wool, rug hooking, wool applique versus cross stitch.
we know there's a big
Yeah, there's a
hole.
market there.
Yeah, there's a market, and we have some customers who are crossover. They do wool applique, they do cross stitch, and we'd kind of talk to them about them. They would get so excited that we have we have a couple people who are going to take that wool and kind of breathe some life into it.
Great. I know for myself, I've always been fascinated by it, and I have some supplies waiting for me for when I've got time to to do it. I mean, like many people, we designers are not immune to buying things that we don't have quite the time to do yet, but it appeals to me greatly. I know you have a daughter. Is she also a needle worker?
No, she's not. I tried, and I tried. Well, no, I tried once, and I realized it just wasn't
Wasn't her thing.
It was not her thing. And it is so funny because it's so not her thing that she's not really, I'm like, you can have a job here. Nope, don't want it. But her friends are so proud of the shop. They stop by with their friends. One of her friends just came home from college and came by to show off the shop. My daughter was nowhere to be seen.
Go figure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So maybe one day she will, but this is not the day.
So when you were talking about the wool applique, the one thing I can speak to about that is, from being a designer and a teacher, is there's so many stitches that carry over from one to the other.
Yeah.
In a way, we've gone from, speaking for myself, I've gone from surface embroidery and taking some very traditional surface embroidery stitches and adapted them to counted thread work, like the buttonhole stitch, stem stitch. And I know that these are stitches that are very commonly used in wool applique. So I can see where your customers who might come to you as strictly a cross stitcher, that is not a huge leap to get into wool applique.
Not
And
at all.
conversely, the person who comes in and shops with you because you have wool applique
Right.
is going to look around at all these samplers and say, wow, this stuff's pretty cool too.
There is so much crossover, what we've learned with
Yeah.
different types of needle arts.
Yeah.
And yeah, with the stitches, you're absolutely right.
And I have a feeling these other two family members know that it's quitting time. And,
What gave it away?
We grown-ups have been talking too
Dinner
long.
time, maybe.
So, but thank you so much for sharing your experience with me and with my viewers. And we all wish you the best of luck.
Thank you for
Thank
coming.
Future
you.
unfolds.
Yes.
And we're very excited about the classes that you'll be teaching tomorrow through the weekend.
Yes, we are all excited, aren't we? And I'm already planning a return trip.
Wonderful.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jean.
As you can see, it's a lovely shop, and David and Kathy and their team just do an incredible job with customer service, and I can't wait to go back in the spring of 2023. So in the episode notes, I'll have the contact information for the shop. Even if you can't get there in person, their online shop is fabulous, and they treat their online customers as if you are right there at their doorstep. So do give them a try. And as the spring unfolds wherever you are, I hope that you are stitching happy, stay safe, and I'll see you next time.